This is Faisal Khan for Lights Out in association with Shamrock Boxing, and over the phone with me, I'm delighted to be joined by Peter Fury. Peter, good afternoon to you, and how are you?
Yes, good afternoon. Okay, so far so good.
So far, so good, yeah. Obviously, tough times ahead of us with the coronavirus, the UK lockdown. Firstly, Peter, just want to get your thoughts on what's your take on the current situation, and of course, being on the UK lockdown.
I think it's very serious. I think it's going to get worse. And there's not much more you can say. Well, it's getting worse by the day. There's more people dying every day, and it's just growing and growing. So I think it's going to be disastrous, to be fair.
It's obviously a situation that's never occurred to the British public before. It was announced the other night that Boris Johnson, ordered this lockdown. Judging by the way things have been with the coronavirus and how it's grown, not only in the UK but in many parts of the world, looking at the UK lockdown, Peter, do you think this is obviously something that should have been done perhaps maybe a few weeks ago to prevent the situation from escalating in the UK?
Well, it's a volatile situation because if they'd have just automatically said, right, lockdown, everybody would have protested and there would have been big problems. Unfortunately, people need to be told repeatedly when there's problems and they've got to ease into it. Mm-hmm. So, but that, he's tried to do it the best he could and trying to keep the peace everywhere and try and keep the economy going at the same time. So it's been a fine balance. They've closed it as best and as quick as he could, but obviously to stop this virus and put a stop to it completely, everybody should have been on lockdown from day one. Mm. But unfortunately, I think it's gone viral and already millions have probably got it.
It is definitely a situation that is, growing day by day, and of course, another thing that had a part to play in this lockdown, and of course, was the panic shopping, Peter. I mean, we're seeing videos over social media, people just panic buying, sort of like, scuffling through one another just to get items from from retail outlets such as Tesco, Asda, Sainsbury's. Peter, what was your initial thoughts when you were seeing videos like this on social media and people just panic buying for the sake of it?
It shows you the caliber of people. They're very selfish today. They think for themselves. There's no consideration for other people. Mm-hmm. So it's it's not good. When you look at stuff like that, it shows you the quality of society today, or the majority of it. I'm not saying that's everybody, but the ones in that video should be ashamed. When you go to the shop, take two of everything, spare things for elderly people, for the NHS that's working, trying to save people's lives. That nurse who come on the television and done the speech, she was distraught. And she said, when you're at your lowest, we're the ones that's looking after you. Now, that says it all. So it's disgraceful behaviour anyway.
Yes, 100%. Couldn't agree more with you, and hopefully it's the situation will sort of ease and people will start to realise that panic buying, we need to think of others before we think of ourselves, especially the elderly who are more vulnerable to this coronavirus situation.
I think it took something like this to give people moral value.
Yeah. And
to realise, their ways are wrong. Everybody now is dog eat dog. Everybody will screw people into the floor for £10 so they can get £10 richer. They'll step all over people. And they're finding, it's taking something like this to make them realise that money means nothing. Your self-value and carrying respect for other people and being respected yourself is worth more than shitting on people for a few quid. So basically, it is what it is. Mm. I believe also, I'm an avid believer in the blessed Lord. I read my Bible. I try and follow that conduct. I don't agree with wrongdoings no matter what the cost, because I've learnt myself over the years. So, and a lot of people, look, hardly nobody goes to churches anymore. Nobody's got a belief anymore. The values have dropped. So, it's no wonder you see that in shops and the way they're carrying on. But this this will, unfortunately, it's going to do a lot of damage. Look, it could affect any of our families.
Mm-hmm.
And I pray to God, I pray every morning that this passes and, it spares as many people as possible. But it's out of our hands right now. All we can do is try and contain it and keep it at bay by staying indoors and not trying to spread it.
Yeah, no, wise words, Peter. 100%. And obviously, you mentioned about people profiting from this type of situation. One of the things that we're seeing a lot is, for example, hand sanitizers, which are usually 99 pence in any retail store that you'd go to. Some people are charging £8 a bottle. Some people are charging £9 a bottle. I remember Billy Joe Saunders put something on his Instagram about it yesterday. Peter, your thoughts on the people that are looking to profit at such a vulnerable situation like the coronavirus?
Well, again, it's the class of society. It's an evil act. It's selfishness to the core. And this is the problem. Everybody is into worldly goods. They're very selfish people. They can't see a past a pound note. So this is what you get. And it's not good. Anybody with moral standing and value, if they can make them gels, should be going out. They should be going out at cost. The price should even be reduced. Never mind selling them at what they are. When they see this calamity that we're in, anything that people need and can save lives, take your costings back. Because everybody, look, the economy's flattened. Money means nothing. If you've got 20 million in your account, it means nothing at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So people should get together and make things at cost rather than profit out of them. Never mind, tenfold in the price. It just shows again where we are in the society. But, they're paying the price for it.
Certainly, Peter, that's definitely the case. People are just, looking to profit from it, and it's not a class act whatsoever. And I just think that certain people in the world who are doing this, this disgraceful act right now, need to realise that it's a time of need, and people are, people's health comes first. But it is what it is, Peter.
I'm not saying that these people can't change. They just need to wake up
mm-hmm.
and realise and understand. And get down on the knees and say to the blessed Lord, I am sorry. God forgives. And these people need to have a level of understanding, because it's just the way the world's gone. Nobody cares. The elderly seem to get pushed to one side. Nobody respects the parents anymore. Mm-hmm. I've got my mother. She lives with me. She's 84. And she lived with me since my father died in January 2002. So... my mother and father was idolised, and my mother still is. And it's a big worry for me now. I've got a mother 84 years of age. And, that's a major concern for me as well.
Yes.
So we've all got issues here. We've all got things to worry about. So I'm sure a lot of people are in the same position as me as well.
Mm-hmm. Especially with how vulnerable the elderly people are to this coronavirus that's going around.
Sure, yeah.
We all need to have that extra care for, especially as you mentioned, our parents. Even any elderly person that's vulnerable to this virus. So I can understand where you're coming from, Peter. Obviously,
I think in times like this, look, I've got children, I've got grandkids. I've told them all to keep away, because I don't want to lose my mother at 84. Mm-hmm. So it's cruel to not see the grandkids. It's cruel not to see the daughters and the children or whatever. But I've got to think of my mother here. So, like I said, it's a major lockdown. Nobody's coming here. And, it's all paramount for me is keeping my mother safe and the rest of the family as well.
I fully agree with you on that, Peter. Being in the situation myself, we're not allowed to have anyone in the house due to this situation. And it's not easy times, but, hopefully the country could come through with this lockdown, and hopefully everyone will start taking it serious. But obviously that's your thoughts on the coronavirus, and I respect your opinion on that, Peter. I just want to speak to you about your son Hughie Fury. Good performance a couple of weeks ago in Manchester, but due to gyms being closed for the coronavirus, how's he keeping in shape, and how is it trying to keep him motivated for his next up and coming fight?
Well, he's doing okay. He's had a portable gym moved into his house, mm-hmm. and he's just training from home. He'll be doing a bit of shadow boxing and stuff like this, eating healthy and keeping himself ticking over. And I think that's all he can do. Regards his performance, he just went in there and he knew that that guy wasn't on his level, and he knew he could be a messer. And if you give him the respect, he could make it difficult. He could make it difficult for anybody. So he just decided to walk right through him, and that's what he done. So he just put his foot on the gas and got rid of him. So that was it. We never really got a chance to see much of his skill set we've been working on. So, like I said, he made short work of him, and he's on to the next one.
And it's a great confidence boost going ahead with Huey. 27 fights, 24 wins, 3 defeats. But when anybody looks at the defeats, they think, oh, maybe he doesn't have what it takes. But what some people in the sport of boxing don't seem to realise is that he's lost to credible opponents. 2 former world champions in Parker and Pulev, and of course Povetkin, who challenges for a world title when this coronavirus situation does end. Them fights against Pulev, Parker, Povetkin. What can you just explain to us, and obviously to the viewers that will eventually listen to the interview, what will them, fights against Pulev, Parker, Povetkin do for Huey going forward in his career, especially being at such a young age?
Well, he's been in these type of fights. He's been and he's gone through them, but he's had a lot of things which has not been right for him. He's not been comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like I said, every fight you can learn something from it. So he'll gain vast experience from it. But I believe Huey now, he's coming from a young boy to a man. Don't forget, he's a heavyweight. It take a lot longer to mature mentally and physically. So he is coming to his own. He spars a lot better than what he used to do. He doesn't struggle. He's got all the skill in the world. So like I said, it's just a case of Huey coming into maturity and having the confidence to show people what he's
capable
what he can do, really.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we've seen it with Huey, and it's massive respect to him for stepping up with the opponents that he has. Within this sort of next 18-month period, what is it that you're looking to achieve with Huey?
Well, we don't know how long this is going to last, but God willing, everybody's safe and we get back to business, and he'll be back in the ring as soon as possible. So, he'll be in good fights and very soon. So next year should be a big year for Huey, providing he's able to get fights in this year.
The British and the European titles are on the line. Daniel Dubois, Joe Joyce. That fight was scheduled for April. It's now been moved to, I believe, for July. Your predictions on the Dubois-Joyce fight? What do you see happening? And is that something perhaps Huey might be able to fight the winner of that fight?
I think it's a very tricky fight for both fighters. Joyce is not to be underestimated. This guy can fight. Mm-hmm. But his defence is leaky at times. And Dubois is a big puncher. So that's Dubois' main tools there. So like I said, I think it's a good fight. It's a solid fight. But he has got a lot of experience, Joyce. And he's not over the hill. Like I said, he's had, I think he had eight fights in the amateurs where they had no head guards on. 5 and 8 rounds or something he was doing. Obviously we know he's been in with the likes of my mind's going now. What's the cruiserweight champion?
Alexander Usyk he's been in with.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about. He's mixed at quality levels, and that's not look at Bryant Jennings as a mug, because he's not.
Mm-hmm. And Stavern,
like
he's
been
been with as well. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in. He knows his way around the ring, so it's a big jump for Dubois. This, but like I said, he's another exceptional young talent coming through. So I think it'll be very interesting to see the outcome of that fight. It's very interesting.
I know your son Huey's fought at world title level before, but the British title and of course the European title is an amazing achievement for any boxer in any weight category to pick up. Would you be open to the winner of that fight?
It just depends where we're at, and if it's a fight what's going to help us get to where we got to do, and we got to take fights like that, then we'll look at it. But for me, I'm not looking at any opponents at the moment. We're not even contemplating anything. We're just looking to get him out again, see who we can get probably a little bit better than the last opponent, and just keep him active and keep Huey busy.
Earlier on today, the Sky Sports Boxing YouTube channel premiered the famous night in Dusseldorf when your nephew Tyson defeated Vladimir Klitschko. You was in his corner that night. Had the privilege of watching it today during the morning when it was on the YouTube channel of Sky Sports. I've always wanted to ask you this question. What was the secret behind beating such a great fighter in Vladimir Klitschko?
Well, there was happy times back then. There was a lot happier than what they are today. But like I said, the way to beat Klitschko, he was super confident. Tyson, he always believed he could beat Klitschko. And, I just give him all the support he needed. And, that was it. We worked out game plans for Klitschko, and it worked because, this guy, Klitschko, was a perfectionist. There was no ruffled edges, the way he dressed. I've seen him at the press conferences and stuff, the way he spoke. He's Mr. Perfect. So what do you do with somebody like that? Of course, frustration, which frustration they don't like. So, like I said, it was not quite hard to read Klitschko, to be honest. Because Klitschko, he couldn't throw punches unless he was sure. And if you're not sure, he wouldn't throw. So he went in his shell for God knows how many rounds. And, that's the story of that fight, really.
I believe it was round 11 I believe it was either round 11 or round 12 of that fight where Tyson was ducked a point in that fight. Before Michael Buffer announced the decision of the winner of that fight, was you thinking to yourself that, hold on, there's an actual chance we could be robbed of a win here?
Tell it's up. That's the way it is. We thought we won Parker. And I had the same feeling that night as when Tyson fought Klitschko. I was waiting, and unfortunately, Huey got the bad end of it. So, like I said, you never won a fight until you've won it, no matter how much you think you've dominated it. So, like I said, of course, it was a concern there, but thankfully on the night, the right decision was made.
And now, obviously, he's recaptured the world title with that stunning performance against Deontay Wilder, becoming the new WBC and the Ring Magazine champion. I've got to ask your thoughts and opinions on it. Tyson, the fight of Anthony Joshua is the fight now everybody wants to see. The fight was offered to him, I believe, last year from Eddie Hearn in Matchroom, but they couldn't agree to a 50-50 split because Eddie Hearn, when we interviewed him, said he wasn't entitled to a 50-50 split because he doesn't hold any major belts. What's your thoughts on the fight happening some point in the near future, and what's your thoughts on the actual 50-50 split agreement, which is what Tyson is owed now that he holds the WBC and the Ring Magazine heavyweight titles?
I don't think money will get in the way this time, and I think the fight will happen, providing they both come through the next fights, because the schedule of Deontay Wilder's got a rematch clause and Joshua's got a fight pool left, so these are two fights they've got to come through, and then hopefully they can make that fight between themselves next.
When the fight eventually will happen, hopefully it does, what would your prediction be for that fight? I know you've worked with Tyson.
I never do predictions. We can go one way or the other, and may the best man win. It's as simple as that. Boxing is very unpredictable. You've never won until you've won, like I just told you. Until that bell, even if it goes a distance, you don't know what's going to happen, do you?
Yes, of course, 100%.
You're in the hands of other people. When you're in the hands of other people, nothing's guaranteed to you, is it?
You're not wrong there. We've seen it many times where we've watched fights in the past and you thought, yep, it'll go this way, then it's gone the complete other way. That's the unfortunate thing about boxing. Sometimes the decision isn't always right, i.e. the first Wilder Fury fight. But yeah, Peter, is there anything else you'd like to add before we bring the interview to an end?
I think it's very important for people, especially towards elderly people, to get their immune system as high as possible. So they need to be taking the vitamin C powder, the super greens, the CBD oils. They need to have lemon juice in hot water and mix it all in, amino acids. So I know Applied Nutrition has got all this stuff. So anybody that wants it, he can post it to their door. So my advice is, don't ask me the prices of it. I have not got a clue, but I know that they've got it because I've got a lot of it from my mother as well. She takes it, so it's important for I think everyone to keep the immune system high. And the best way to keep the immune system high is, especially being indoors. Don't drink alcohol; it tends to sugar. Eat healthy, keep from the sweets, the chocolates and stuff. and plenty of vegetables and greens, whatever they can get, and just eat meals regular. But you do need to take supplements to keep the immune system high, because if this is going to be fought and it's infected in family households, if your immune system's high and you're healthy, then you've got a very good chance of fighting it off, especially the elderly. So my advice is to get these products, like I've just said, and get in touch with Applied Nutrition, because they've and at the moment they've got plenty of stocking.
100%. Well said, Peter Fury, and hopefully everyone can take the advice on board, especially when it comes to the elderly and the vulnerable people, especially parents and grandparents, because they are the ones that are more likely to catch this virus. Peter, thank you very much for your time. A pleasure finally getting to talk to you and getting an interview with you. Unfortunately, it wasn't a face-to-face one, but getting your time over the phone, it means a lot to us.
No problem, young fella, and keep safe and all your family.
I will
and
do. The same goes to you.
That's all. That's all. Do one thing, and that's pray to God, because it's in His hands at the moment.
Wise words, Peter Fury. Thank you very much for your time, and hopefully look forward to seeing you at Huey's next fight. And thank you for talking to Lights Out.
You're very welcome. All the best.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.